I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 59 of the It's Time to Refresh podcast. On this episode, we've got debutee Lee T. How we doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Are you?
Not too bad. We're aware. I'm not going to pretend like we haven't been talking for the last 2 hours or so. So it's like, we're aware. So what did you have for tea last night?
Last night I had an Indian. I had chicken pakoras, chips.
Was it the place you told me to go to?
No. That's actually that's a good place. That you need to go there, wee bird.
Yeah, well, we're going into Manchester tomorrow. So we're down at Fitz's today, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I thought, we'll get him on. Well, seems to be making waves. You're doing all right, aren't you, at the minute?
Yeah, so the tunes are getting out there, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, the last 18 months or so, like I said to you, I've seen your tunes popping up, and like I've played a couple of them. You did Up and Down. That was for me. That I think it's been your best one. I know it's a simple tune, but it does the business.
It was very simple. Like, it only took me about 2 hours. It just went straight in and out.
Yeah. So we'll get into your story, mate. For those who don't know, you've had various releases through Klubbed.
Yeah.
What other labels have you been on? Other labels?
Nah, just I'm on Klubbed, to be fair. Obviously, because I'm that good mates with Lee, I just keep it. It's easy enough for me to send the tracks over to Andy and that, so I don't hear anything else. So, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's understandable. So we'll go right back to the beginning for you then. Who's Lee and where did it start? Where has the passion for music come from?
To be fair, I've always had the passion for music, and it's quite funny, really. Like when I went back to it, I used to there was a festival in my town, you know, like an old drive through the town. There used to be a car shop in Leyland called AFL, and it used to drive by and it used to play like dance tunes. Yeah. And at the time I didn't know what it was. It was just stuff like, I can remember it being like Lock and Load, Blow Your Mind and all that, but I looked into it other day and it said that released in 2000, but it couldn't have been because it was being played in like 98 and that, and
right.
And I used to go by and I'd be like, that is the sound that I really like, but I used to think it was called car music. That's how young I was. And then one of my mates at the time, he had an older brother, and he was into a bit of DJing and all that, and he had Helter Skelter tapes, Helter Skelter packs. So we're talking 98, and he used to have the first tape he gave me was Charlie B. You know, MC Charlie B. Yeah. And
big follower of hardcore, mate.
Yeah, and then obviously I got the side tape, and that was my pride and joy was the side tape, and yeah.
Can you remember what was on it? Is there any tunes that sort of stick out in your head?
Time After Time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The remake of the '80s tune, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, that was that tape was my pride and joy. Like the odd times my mum used to say I could put it on in car and all that. But I actually come from an area that's not. There's bounce heads as such around there, but it's not like a predominantly big.
Yeah. There's an odd person who knows who's they're into it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, right? So when you were growing up, what was the people around you, like your friends, were they like the dance music, or was it just you? Or were you a solo rider?
There was me. Well, that was at primary school when it all started, but when it got to high school, there was like me and a lad called Ryan Connolly who. He's actually doing well for himself now. That was my best mate at high school, and he now owns a Viva Bible, and and Secret Sessions and stuff like that. He's gone on. He's doing well for himself.
Yeah.
But there was only a couple of us that were into DJing and all that. Obviously, when you get to high school, there were people that was into like the Wig and Pier volumes and stuff like that. And as soon as I started getting onto that, I was like, that is the sound I've been looking for.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That was.
What was your first Pier volume? Can you remember?
I can't remember the first Pier volume. It'd have been 20s, 30s, something like that. But I just remember, I thought, this is it. This is the sound I've been.
Is there any tunes of that time that sort of stick out to you, where it's like you remember hearing that, and it's like when you say this is what I've been looking for? Is there a certain
Lock and Load, Blow Your Mind?
That was what it was. Yeah.
That's like
fantastic track as well.
And then obviously like me, Cheese, Liam Ross bounced it and just.
I think that is my personal preference. I think that era of the music's the best era.
It is.
it's for me the right BPM. I know obviously you get faster and that now, but loads of people would disagree with me and say they prefer this era or this era. But it was like, how diverse is that track in comparison to the stuff that was coming out at the time?
Yeah, definitely.
So like, obviously you had that style, and you had obviously the klubbed style, which obviously, and then you had like the Euro trance style, and everything is just all amalgamated into this like scene in the Northwest, where it's like, you listen to peer CDs back then, and there's like bits of trance there. There's obviously you've got your lock and load, and then there's just a bit of everything going on, and it's like a mashup of all the best bits of different types of dance music, and that's evolved into our sound today. And it's I find that mind blowing that we've become our own little subculture off the back end of these massive tunes. And how it's progressed along as well. So like, when you hear a lock and load tune, I think that's produced at like 138, and then we're banging all these tunes out now at like 150. It's crazy. So what was your entry point into the scene? Like, when you were DJing, where was your first gig? What was your first break? Or was it DJing your first thing, or was it production, or what was it?
DJing was my first thing, and like, to be fair, like, there's a bit of an embarrassing story, like, you know, like, you come up with your DJ name and all that, and like, I came up with my first DJ name was I was thinking like, what name could I come up with, and I was thinking like Dr. Dre, like, it's got to be something like, I'll do it off that. So I thought I could be a disc jockey, a disc doctor, so I'll call myself DJ First Aid, and I thought, no, fuck the first bit off, so I called myself DJ Aid. So like, I started like telling people this is my name and all that, and I was like running with it. I was like, you know, I'm DJ Aid, and I used to tell like adults and that, and they'd all like look at each other like, what's going on here? Has this guy got AIDS? And I was like oblivious to this disease. It was, do you know what I mean? And,
that's
and it's like, my name's Ed, and they're like, so is that, are you Ed? And something like, no, I'm DJ Ed. They're all like, look at each other. Stay away from this lad. He's got a blood disease.
I'm sorry, I'm going to clip this and put this out. Yeah, that's getting clipped and put on TikTok, mate.
So
we've got DJ Ed. Class. So when did you change it? At what point?
To be fair, like, what happened was, there was under 18s at probably it was like year 7. There was an under 18s at Park Hall, and the club looked exactly the same then as it does now. And I went along and I blagged it. I said, you know, I'm a DJ, blah blah blah. All my mates come. There was like, I'm from Leyland actually, and there was like Leyland and Chorley, and like Park Hall's in between them both. So we used to go, and like, the club was like even more sold out than the BTID boys get it. Like, if you can imagine, like, it was packed.
Different time and era.
Yeah, there were like 2,000 kids there. And
what year is this? Sorry, if you don't.
This is year 7, so this would have been like 2001,
right?
2002. Do you know? So
it's a different time as well. It's a completely different time. Like now, if you get, I've seen like lads where it's like, oh, we had a good club night last night. It was rammed. We had 400 in. Bear in mind, 15 years prior, the same club had 1,400 in.
Of course.
And if people got a 400 people turn out, then they'd be like, be gutted. But like, it's a different time, isn't it? Completely. So 2,000 kids in Park Hall at the time I'm not saying it was the norm, but it would be more surprising now to get 2,000 kids in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was month in, month out, and as I say, I went there and blagged it, and I didn't know anything about DJing. Nothing.
Do you know who was on at all, or what event?
Yeah, there was a guy. It was 17. It was a guy. There was a DJ on called Cino, and then there was a lad from Wigan called Matt Carr.
Right.
And so I just went there, blagged it, and just started playing tunes off like Clubland CDs and that, and like Wigan Pier CDs.
They weren't the extended mixes, no?
Nah, they were mixing out into something else, and when it ended, I'd play the next tune. Like, we're crazy, but
no one there like
no
pick
one,
up on it.
Yeah, nobody picked up on it. Like, you know,
that's
I just blagged it, and I this is how much I didn't know about it back then. I thought mixing was scratching and scratching was mixing.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I just didn't know anything about it, and then, but I had these like shitty home mix decks, so obviously I was just, and you couldn't mix on them, so I didn't know anything about it. Like, and then the next Christmas I got a pair of DJ in a box Newmark. You remember the yeah. So I got.
So I was the other way around, mate. I had the Newmark belt drives, and I'd get them, and it was I'm going to sound thicky, but I think it was a PMX 120 mixer, so it didn't have the highs and mids. It had the lows, and then it had gains on it. Yeah. So to mix it was a bastard, right? But I remember I felt like I moved up in the world because I got a home mix set up, like the CD thing, and I thought, like, I've been restricted to the 200, 300 records that I've got, and I could only mix this one into this one. Just think I can go and download music now. Like, for me, it was like the world's my oyster, because I've got CDs that I can burn. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was downloading off like sites and that at the time, and I remember getting like loads of Alex K stuff that I wanted on vinyl, but I couldn't get it anywhere on the CD. I put the whole mix on, and they got fobbed off straight away. Like, I remember buying them cheap. I think that I must have paid like 50, 80 quid or something like that for them. They were just a cheap set of decks, weren't they? So I remember fucking them off because I couldn't mix on them. Can you? I don't know which model you had of it, but it was like an all-in-one thing. It was all-in-one thing. So like, it was this silver thing, and then there were like sliders for you.
That's
it. Yeah. So I found that you couldn't queue tunes up properly because there'd be a delay. So
I wouldn't have known about that back then anyway.
Right. Well, when I was like trying to mix as I did on vinyl. So obviously, when you pull the platter back and you let it go, and it falls on the beat. The timing's perfect. Like there's no like latency delay or anything like that. But when I was mixing on these, I was having to go like 2 beats early, press play because it like thinks about it on the delay thing, and then plays. So I could not mix on it because there was sometimes it maybe starts straight away, and you're like, oh, get in there, and then other times it like take 2 seconds to like think about it. Put it on, and I thought, right, they're getting fucked off, and then I went back to the vinyl, but restricted to the 200. And I was like, oh, one day I'll be pioneers, do you know what I mean? Like, or something better at least. But yeah, it's just a matter of cash, I think. But what was the next setup for you then after the next? To be fair, you got the new marks in a box.
Well, I got the new marks in a box, and then to be fair, I got the Denon CDs. But as I say, we went on vinyl for a while because like that
was the Denon CDs the one with the small mixer face?
They were called Denon DND 2000s or 2500 or 3500. I think I had a few models of them.
Were the rack mount ones? Yeah, I know which ones you're on about.
And but yeah, so literally, I stuck with the vinyl, the belt drives for ages because I got thrown in the deep end. I was like playing these gigs every month. We were at Park Hall, we were at Blackpool Ice Arena. Where else were we at? I can't think. It's got me off there. But I was doing all the gigs with these, only doing like an hour.
Yeah.
But I was doing all of them with this Heaven Teen, and then after that it came to Leyland. Another brand came to Leyland called Teen Heaven.
Yeah.
And I went down there one night and I said, "Oh, I DJ at the other one." So straight away they had me on. I still didn't know fuck all about it. I was just like...
so you got on via association sort of thing?
Yeah, I just blagged it. I didn't know anything about it. And then... and the owner was actually... that night, actually owned a nightclub in Accrington. Which is just down the road. Called Lordy Doors.
Yeah.
And they had an under-18s there. And I was getting into the peer stuff and all that. But obviously none of my mates was into that sound.
Yeah. At this moment in time, you haven't met anyone in the scene then?
No, bloody hell. And... so anyway, so he took me to this under-18s in Accrington, and it was just a game changer for me because they was all playing, it was proper bounce.
Underground music, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking, I mean, the biggest tune there was Lapel Fantasy Girl.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can sort of, you've gone from the commercial side of playing a clubland CD or whatever to the depths of like the real proper...
The real mixing in and out of stuff and that, and I was just like...
So who was the DJs there, do you know that?
Yeah, the DJs were a guy called Scrump, and he was a Scouser, and so... But then there was one of the managers of that club, he had a son called Chris, and he DJ'd at the Leyland one. He was from Preston, so he we literally like started doing things together. I was trying to think of the story, so... But then we went on to start doing the under-18s with him, and I'm like, shit, I need to like... Because I was already buying vinyl and that, I just didn't understand how to mix.
What sort of stuff were you buying then at the time?
It was H&V stuff.
Right, and what was on it then, for instance?
It was like all around the world stuff, do you know what I mean? But it weren't like...
So you were playing more the cheesy sort of...
Yeah, it was, but I didn't really know about the underground record shops at this point. I just thought it was all like H&V and that. And so you're probably talking, I was probably like 14, 15 at the time.
Yeah.
And so me and Chris Marlin from Preston, we started doing bits together. We were doing like the Leyland one, then we moved up to the Accrington one. But then you were chucked into the deep end because you was around real DJs then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I knew I had to get my shit together and start really learning how to mix and that.
Did anyone sort of catch you out for what you were doing with mixing the non-extended mixes out?
No, because I picked it up pretty fast by that point. I knew that like there were people there, kids that were there that were like, that you could see they knew what they were doing. Do you know what I mean?
I knew what they were looking for, sort of thing.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing, so I couldn't go and focus. I literally stopped hanging around with my mates and just like focused on this, like learning to mix and all that. And to be fair, I picked it up pretty fast, and then it just snowballed from there. So like they ended up getting rid of the guy for the under 18s and giving it me and Chris and all that. And we used to go up on a Friday, and funnily enough, that's where Keo started out.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to like meet at Preston. We used to meet at Preston bus station, go down to the train station, get the train over to Accrington. And Keo used to come up at the time. This would have been like probably 2004.
Yeah.
You know, so Keo's been going a long time really. You know, before he got took on with the BTID lads, and so we started doing the under 18s, and then I started glass collecting there and doing like the cloakroom.
Yeah.
And then we was able to blag over 18s. The warm-ups,
right?
And then eventually they sacked the DJ off there, and then we blagged the over 18s it was in a back room in Lordy Doors,
right?
That was just like pure bounce.
Yeah. So at this, did you have more free reign of what you could play then? Because obviously you're in the back room and you're not like you're sort of not running the show, but like you've got the call on what you can play. You're not playing to please somebody else now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we was playing bounce in that back room, just strictly bounce.
What sort of tunes were there you were playing then?
I mean, 2004, 2006. So you're talking like, I don't know.
Obviously you were telling me that you watched the podcast, so you'll know what's coming up later. But I asked this about moments in your life.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you this now. When you think of that back room, what's the first tune that pops to your head?
Ozone Bounce. But that was like a bit later on.
Yeah. But that's when you think of that room, that's what you think of.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Ozone Bounce was one of them. But yeah, when I think of Lordy Doors itself, it's Fantasy Girl, because that's when people used to be like, "Have you got Fantasy?" Because when they sacked this lad off, they used to say to me and Chris, "Play Fantasy Girl, play Fantasy Girl," and I was like, "What the fuck is Fantasy Girl, Chris?" And he was like, "I don't know, but we need to get it." So, but looking like there were so many other DJs in there, so like. We'd buy vinyls off DJs in there. I can remember there was like they're called Bogger, and I bought Full Force just the way it is off him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we started buying tunes off people in there, and then quickly we got put onto because at the under 18s we used to have like DJs on every week, you know, special guests.
Yeah.
Pete Daly, Jamie A, got Ben T.
So who was the first one you remember meeting? Like who was your first person, or they're somebody in the scene?
Ben T.
Well, he come as a guest spot.
He come as a guest spot. I mean, like I'd met Free Jack and that, and Free Jack, like I used to look up to Free Jack massively and what a top guy he was. But I met Ben T and I thought, you know, this is the boy.
Yeah,
he's the guy. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's the PCDs guy. Isn't
That's what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I met him and I thought, yeah. And then we found out he had Power Records. So me and Chris didn't used to go to school.
Yeah.
I think we should have been at school, but we just didn't do school thing. So we used to, on a Wednesday we used to go down to Power Records, and I think I used to
just get right records and that.
I just used to talk shit to him all day. I think he used to think, well, this little ginger kid, fuck off. But yeah, so that we used to spend our Wednesdays doing that, and you just learnt so much there because we're better else than
you're in the heart of.
If you want to get the Pier sound, where else than go to the main man of Wigan Pier's record shop.
Yeah, I never went there personally, but I've heard stories. I've talked to people. Obviously, talk a lot of people in the scene, and a lot of the things will see if they had records. This is just what I'm going off. Obviously, I never been myself. If they had records in there that they wanted to sell, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to do good," they'd play it on a PCD and play it in the pier, and then they'd have it on the wall waiting.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you go in, and you'd be like, "That tune, fucking Wigan Pier." 35 track 4.
Yeah.
It's on the wall there, just grab a copy.
Yeah.
And they put that prominently at the front.
Well, yeah, they used to have a section as you go in, like they had the decks there, but then they had like listening decks there, and on the right they used to be like, I think it's like big at the pier, and like they'd have a load of vinyl that was big at the pier.
That's what it was, yeah. So I've heard that story off a few people, you see. So I think a lot of people, I was talking to John yesterday, and he was saying a lot of people have. He's fascinated by the fact of everyone's got a different story how they got into it. Like your story is completely different from last week's story or next week's story, but at the same time, you all meet at different points. So the amount of people who went to Power Records and the same way that you did, or X Record Shop, whatever, and then you all end up in the same scene together. I think this is what's remarkable about hearing people's stories. Because you hear the entry point, getting from A to B, and how many some people had to go or jump through hoops to get to a one, and some people were just right place, right time, and it just seems to be we all end up. Well, I'm sitting here with you today. I do it because I love the music. You do it because you love the music, and then our paths have like crossed. I find that the fascinating bit of life, how music can bring you together, like with people who's got the same passion. Like I love camaraderie. I'm not a football follower. I don't like that. I'm sort of going off on a thing here, but with football, there's like a nice camaraderie. If you see a bunch of say Liverpool fans or Man United fans or whatever, and they're all cheering along, it's class. I walked into I was playing for Sanctuary a couple of years ago in Blackpool, but it was the mod weekender. Mods and
Mods and Rockers.
And I went into this pub, went for a pint beforehand, and I was just in awe of like, this is amazing. All these people dressed the same. They're all absolutely jumping around to the same music. I think music really bringing people together. And then it just dawned on me. I went into like Sanctuary and I looked and I was just like, yeah, we just do the same thing. We just don't realise it. You just don't realise it.
If you think about it, where was the main place? Where was the main place?
Pier and that, yeah. Do you
know what I mean? For the mods, where was it?
Oh, well, Blackpool's a big
Wigan Casino.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's that as well, yeah.
And that was the Northern Soul place, wasn't it? In this area, like everybody talks about Wigan Casino.
That and what is it? Stoke-on-Trent was one in there.
Yeah, but and if you think about it, they both had the same fates. They both got knocked down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, I know that the two different scenes, but it's amazing just to take a minute just to look. Like, we don't realise that we all sort of dress the same. And I know it's differentiated, but there will be a moment in time when we're all fucking old boys, right? And it's like, we'll be still wearing the same clothes and going to them raves. And it will be looked at as like an old school scene. There'll be like a bounce weekender where it's like, we all meet up and we're all fucking jumping around some pub in Blackpool. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it's going to be. And you don't realise you're in it. And it's just, I love the fact of, don't take this the wrong way, right? Coming here today, and I just buzzed off the fact that I knew straight away that I'm going to have a good conversation with this guy. First time I've met you, isn't it? Today? So he's obviously, he's in the same wavelength as me, and he knows the score. And because obviously you do meet some people, and I'm not saying they're not on the same wavelength, but they look at music differently, and their opinions are different on different levels. But when talking to you, it's just like straight away I knew this is going to be a good podcast. So we sort of graphed through. And sorry for going off on a tangent there, but I just thought it was worth noting when you said about Power Records, when you said, oh, well, I used to go in there. Like, how many other people in the scene were like, when you have been in there, that you bumped into and you didn't even realise? Like, there could have been big DJs, or there could have been lads now who are only starting to make waves now, and they were there back in the day. I think it's amazing how we all sort of sit and fantasise about this music scene. I think it's fantastic. And like, obviously we'll get into your story a bit further on, but like when you go up to like Newcastle, or I'm in Whitehaven, and then there's Wigan, there's Burnley, there's Accrington, and all these places have just got little hubs of their own sound, we were talking off pod, and I think that's just amazing. But yeah, we'll get back onto your story, mate. Sorry for interrupting.
It's alright, fire away.
No, just obviously when you said about it, that was all. So you were going down there, and then what was the first underground record you were buying then, that you can remember from Power Records? Is there anything that sort of sticks out?
Not really, no. To be fair, I lost my vinyl collection a few years ago, so I can't even remember the tunes I had, but it was my pride and joy up until losing it, like. But no, just anything that was big at Power Records I used to buy, do you know what I mean? Like, but I did love that record shop.
Hold a special place.
It does. Obviously,
So did you go to Pier then?
Yeah, I did when I got a bit older. I think the first over 18s night we went to was a night at Park Hall. And it was called, I think it was called A Touch of Class, and I think it was Gary Hypnotic and that run it, but it only ran for a couple of months. It was, I think there was quite a bit of trouble and what have you, but it was, I can't believe it. I must have looked about 8 when I went to the door, and I thought, there's absolutely no fucking way these are letting me in. There's no way these are letting me in. He's like, go on in. I'm like, he just said, let me in.
We're in.
So we fucking got in, and we had a fucking mint time. We went for a few weeks, and I think it was on every Friday, because obviously they did Maxime's on the Saturday, didn't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a mint time, and that only lasted for a few weeks, and then.
But it got you properly into it at that point, then.
Well, no, the passion was already there.
Yeah.
The passion was already there.
No, but you found somewhere where it's like, I found it.
I found it coming up this way, because when I used to DJ at Lardy's and that, there'd be like after parties and that, and like I just couldn't believe the community, like, because in Bounce was like back then there was like different areas had different sounds. Not so much now, because everybody can get all the same tunes and all that shit. But like Wigan had its own sound, Liverpool had its own sound, Accrington and Blackburn and Burnley had their own sound, and that was the sound that I loved. It was like, if you can imagine, like Wigan was more like the KB stuff, Liverpool was obviously Scouse stuff, but up here was that deeper, darker, like clubbed, like
very Monroe-y, isn't it? That's that sort of stuff there when you hear them tunes. I know where you're coming from. There's still hints of that now.
Yeah,
you can hear it in the tunes as well, but because everyone plays the sort of similar tunes or that now, it's hard to tell where DJs are from. Yeah. When you hear a producer, you can see where they're.
Yeah.
So like I sort of had a rough idea who you were influenced by when I heard your tunes. Do you know what I mean? You can sort of hear it. So, and I'd have put you in this sort of category, like the things sound. Yeah. So what came up after that then? So you've been going to these record shops and stuff. When was your first proper gig with like over 18s, and you sort of started to make waves a bit?
To be fair, that like as I say, I did the over 18s at Lardy Dawes. I met the likes of Fitz and Roster and a few other people, but in the end, that was all I did in that era. You know, I went from the under 18s at them venues, and I went to the one at Leyland, then to Accrington, did the over 18s, and then the same company bought Zone,
right, which
was Sidewalk at first. Do you remember where that were? And I didn't really get pushed towards that. They just let Chris do his thing there.
Yeah.
And then I got sort of pushed out of it, and I just didn't really evolve from it as that. I just literally, the passion was still there. I didn't chase it. We was on a few forums and all that, but
what year is this then?
This we're talking probably 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't really push it from there. I still loved the scene and all that. I still loved the music, but I'm not really that big on putting myself out there. If you see my Facebook, I don't really post anything or do you know what I mean? I'm just.
So with this is the part that I'm interested in with your story. It's like, where did it come back and why? Like, at what point have you thought to yourself, I'm going to give this another go, and why though? What was the reason behind it?
That was a massive jump now. So you're talking probably, I don't know, maybe 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I still loved music. I always make sure I've got the best turntables and all. I had 1000s, 2000s, Nexuses. Like now I've got 3000s. I always like to keep up with the trend, even though I'm not put myself out there. I like to pride myself in having the best decks. I was getting stressed with like bits of work I was doing and all that, and I always like reached out to. When did Liam Ross come back actually?
They came back 2014.
Right, well, so I had a bit of a dabble back in 2014 because they came back, and I was like, well, I've got all these speakers and that, let's.
Yeah.
I'll bring it to the studio, so. And then I just like watched their journey, and then Lee was like, come down, we'll fucking have a laugh at the studio. So then I started doing a few tunes with them, and I've made music for absolute years. Like, Lee's taught me how to make music. I just didn't put it out there. Do you know what I mean? Messed around with it. Just something to dabble with. And then what took the DJing back off was we was at studio in lockdown with Cheese, and he says, I actually dropped him off on the way home. He said, do you want to buy into Sopranos?
Right.
So that's what brought me back out of it, and I thought, yeah, go on, we'll start DJing and making music again.
Right. So what year is this? 2020?
This had been lockdown.
So 2020, the part. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then you were thinking, right? Well, sort of get into it then and give it a go, like a proper shot.
Not such a proper shot, but I thought, you know, if you're going to be part of Sopranos, I didn't know what cheese was going to take it. I don't know whether you were just going to we do the work, or if you were going to like say, go on, you have a bit of, I'll put you on or out like that. Do you know?
Yeah.
I just thought, go on, I'll start making music again, and that's when obviously my tunes started to come about, and I was surprised that people started, you know, picking up on them and that and playing them. I was really surprised because I met the Fat Goose lads. And I was surprised, like, they were playing my tunes, and I was like, I was buzzing with it, you know,
Your style very much so suits what they would spit to. Do you know what I mean? And
I was saying, I'm like, oh, that's me. They're like, fuck off. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Like, they're like, we fucking love your tunes. Or like, I can't believe we was actually at the Sopranos at Flamingos, with Sopranos Sanctuary.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah, that's my tune. They're like, fucking hell.
Were you there?
What?
Were you there? Yeah.
Not this one, the one before.
The one before,
yeah.
I was there as well. Just I didn't.
I don't make myself known that much. If you ever meet me, sometimes I could come across very arrogant. I'm
the same, mate. Because I just you'll obviously have seen on other podcasts. I'm one of these people who I won't talk unless sort of talk to.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
Like sometimes if I've not got anything to say to you, I won't talk to you. It's not me being rude. It's just not. I just won't go on.
You just don't know what to talk about, do you?
I just won't go and talk shit to people to put myself out there. I'm just.
Right. So you heard they must have played your tune.
Yeah. They played that Sun Goes Down, and another one I did. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you know, the first time hearing my music out there, I was like,
what was the feeling like then? So obviously you didn't even know it was coming, and then they've played it. Were you happy?
I knew they were going to play it, but I just couldn't believe it. Like, because if someone asks me who I am, I'm like, oh, just you know, I'm nobody. But like Fitzy's always like, just tell them who you are. And I said, oh, I'm Lee T. He's like, fuck off, you're Lee T. Fucking, you know, I'm playing a few of your tunes. So I was absolutely buzzing with it. And then obviously hearing the music being played out, it's like it's a good feeling. You know yourself, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I can just imagine you now just getting all excited as the tune drops on.
Yeah, but I wouldn't let you see that, though. I wouldn't let you see that. I don't maybe like, But yeah, no, what a good feeling. And then I just took it from there and just thought, yeah, I do like this.
Yeah, excellent. So did singing your tune getting played out, does that give you inspiration to sort of get back in the studio straight away and get back on it?
No, because I was still making stuff anyway. Do you know what I mean? So. It was just good to hear it out. I was still, even if I did not have played anything, I'd still have made tunes and that. But
yeah. So when you were starting to make tunes and stuff, where was your inspiration coming from? Like, what were you thinking? Like, I like this. Like, is there anyone in particular who sort of inspired?
Like who I look up to with like Liam Ross and Alex Kay.
Right. That sort of sound. Yeah. I can hear it in your music, but like as I say, yours is a bit. It's a bit different. Like, I wouldn't have said that you could hear them influences, but there's like obviously like that vibe to it. You know what I mean? It's a bit rushy and it's like that. But you've definitely like created your own little thing as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only because it's I'm not as musically gifted as Ross, so I've got to keep things quite plain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Whereas you talk to him about scales and blah 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 and blah blah blah, he knows all of it. Whereas me, I'm like very like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
If I know something's in C, I'm like, you know, I know like the scale and that, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm only learning all that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, it doesn't. I wouldn't say your music comes across as simple by any stretch. Do you know what I mean? What's your biggest tune to date? Do you reckon? Like the one where you've been like. Yeah, it's decent. I like. Do you know what I mean?
I don't really know. I think.
Or have you got a personal favourite then?
I think I like that Sun Goes. Basically, what happened was like I made Sun Goes Down and stuff like that, and I enjoyed that. But then I feel it just went shit for a bit, and then it just went all right. So I had like little phases. It went a few good ones, loads of shit ones. Few good ones.
Right. I think we all do that. I think. Even if you ask them what like they'll say. Like, I think they'll say, "Oh well, we didn't like this period, but this period we're sort of on a roll." It's just creative flow, isn't it? That's all it is.
I got the biggest feedback off the Shakira tune. I don't know if you've heard it.
Which one's that one?
That Whenever, Wherever.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the one where people are sort of noticing? Oh, this is what I'm about, sort of thing.
No, that was that people are still messaging me for tunes and all that, but they were the ones. That was the tune where people were like, "Fucking hell." Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's good. That is good. I just wanted to ask you as well. Obviously, we've talked off pod and stuff. So you've started your own brand as well now, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got a few.
Yeah. So do you want to go into that?
Well, I'm part of Klubbed.
Yeah.
But not the record site. The same name, but like.
Yeah, it's the same brand, but.
It's the same brand, but we do the nights.
Club nights.
Yeah, so we've got Klubbed. And then me and Fitz sold out Sopranos and then bought into a North East band called Pressure.
Yeah.
With Ant Fopper. I don't know if you've heard of Ant.
Yeah.
He's a top lad. And then, obviously, I was massive in the under 18s. Like, my story is pretty much the under 18s. And I said to Cheese, I'm like, we should do under 18s. He's like, nah, fuck that. I'm like, we'll do well off it, you know. I'm like, let's get into it. He's like, nah. And then we was just happened to be in Nando's in Sunderland. We were discussing a few events and all that shit. And I said, we should do under 18s. And they're like, nah, we shouldn't do under 18s. It happened to be a load of kids in Nando's at the time. I said, watch this. Said, listen, if we did under 18s now, blah, 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 would you come? They're like, when is it? Is it Friday? We're coming. Do you know what I mean? I said, it'll work. So Amp gets straight on the phone as Amp does, and he locks down a fucking massive venue.
Yeah.
And then
the Rainton Arena?
Rainton Arena, and then we just had to make it happen. So we said, right, what should we do? So we'd been booking Whitby for the clubbed events.
Yep.
I said, why don't we get Whitby involved? So we all agreed. And Fitzy reached out. I mean, to be fair, if it wasn't Fitzy reaching out, I don't think he'd have took me. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'd have took me on.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that Fitzy reached out, Andy already had that idea because he had Rave Kids, BTID. So there's a gap in the middle that he's not got that market.
Yeah.
So I think the timing were perfect. And Whitby was like, yeah, I love the idea, let's do it. Fitzy come out up with the name We Are Bounce.
Yeah.
And it just all happened to roll. And we did the first event and it
looks unbelievable. Like it looked like an arena show.
Well, to be fair, not to blow our own trumpets, but we knew it was going to be like that. We didn't know it was going to be like that on the first event, but as I tell at every club we go to, I said, by event 3, we'll pack your venue out every single time.
If you don't mind me asking, right, this is obviously, if you don't answer, it's fine. But how do you find promoting up there if you're down here? Like, is it a struggle or out like that?
Well, no, you see, the thing is, right, we found the promoting's easy. I don't really want to give too many secrets away.
No, you don't need to.
I will, Joe. I will. But if you look at promoters, now promoters have got to push all this. Oh, come to my night. It's going to be amazing. Come to my night. I booked this guy. But if you look at like BTID, they work fucking hard, but they don't really do that much promoting, do they? I'm not saying they don't work hard for the brand, because they do. They work tirelessly for the brand and good on them.
Yeah.
But the ravers push the brand.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, the amount of hype that the ravers create is unbelievable.
Whereas every other promoter in this scene has got to be like, come to my night. They've got to build the hype themselves. Whereas BTID, their hype's built by the ravers.
Yeah.
And that's what we're getting. The hype is built by... Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's just snowballing.
That's good. That is real good. So when you put this lineup together for the first one, what were you sort of expecting? Then you said by event 3 you'd have it packed out. What were you expecting, or what would you be happy with? Like half full?
No, to be happy, we do. I mean, probably 500 people in there. We'd have been happy because we knew we'd have given them a good time. We'd have showed them a good time, and
they'd come back again.
They'd have brought +1 and more next time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we snowballed. We were just more asked about the content.
Yeah.
And then we'll build it. But
I've got a good question here, right? See, when you done the first event, how did you find the music policy? Because obviously they're under 18s. No offence to yous or the lads, right? They're probably only going to maybe know Whitby on a grand scale of things. Yep. So how did you find the music policy? Were you able to play what you would play in a normal nightclub, or were you having to like adjust your styles a little bit? At all?
To be fair, I pretty much was like, by the end of my set, I'd run out of tunes. I looked at Lee. We was at like the probably 59-minute mark, and he's like, play another. I'm like, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? Like that was it. I'd played everything that they could possibly know. Like that, I'm gonna have to start because I'm not as fast as Whitby in and out, but you know I don't let full tunes play. I'm out into the next one, and I'm like, I looked at Lee. I'm like, go. And he's like,
one thing I've noticed playing to the younger crowds is when you play, do you not think that they only buzz off a tune for about 10 seconds and then you've got to be on to the next.
Well, they've got so much choice though, haven't they? Do you know, like we were saying on Bob before, like if you think about it, 1998 an extended mix was 11 minutes. 2003 an extended mix was 8 minutes. 2010 an extended mix was 5 minutes. 2023 an extended mix like 2.5 minutes.
I know what you mean, but like their attention span's a lot less.
Yeah, that's it. So you just they want a bit of a breakdown, kick in, next tune.
That's what. Yeah. So did you find that when you were reading that crowd that when you were playing you were having to like continuously onto the next mix?
No, I pre-thought that anyway. I thought just let's keep them excited. Let's keep them
because they are literally the TikTok generation.
Yeah, and as I say,
like...
by the end, the last tune I played on that first event was Tocker's Miracle, and I was out. On the second event, I mixed even faster, and I had to start playing stuff they didn't know.
Right.
Like stuff like Take Me Away and stuff like that. They had no clue what it is. Don't get me wrong, they were dancing, they had a good time and all that, and I think we can educate them on good music anyway, because when I used to go under 18s, I never heard Children of the Night and stuff like that before. And
so when you hear it, you're like,
I like this. Do you know, like...
I'm always curious as well when you say about under 18s events, right? Do you see, for instance, do you see them Shazamming a lot at all, like, or like that?
To be fair, right...
Because if I've been to, like, say, been playing the club, it's always the younger lot who are the phones out and you can see the Shazam. You never see the old lot when you play like quite an obscure tune.
Yeah.
They'll like come over to the box and try and have a look what it is. Like, do you know if it's another DJ or something like that, they'll like peer over and have a little look. Whereas the younger ones straight on Shazam, trying to lift the phone up in the air.
No, I didn't notice that because it's still like, as I say, I've only just started coming back out to on the DJing. So right now it's all exciting for me. So I'm paying attention to the crowd, seeing what's going down and all that, but I'm not taking it all in, like, whereas
noticing bits
you play out loads of times, Lee and Ross play out all the time, Whitby plays out, so Whitby, like, when we like sort of debrief after it, Whitby picks up a lot of stuff, whereas I won't have picked it up because I'm still in that moment, I'm still very excited, whereas Whitby's looking at things and said, right, we could do this better, do this, do this, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've not really noticed the Shazam and that, but
I think a lot of the younger ones do it. They won't come to the box and have a look. I don't know why that is. I've noticed because I was playing an event and there was quite a lot of the younger generation there, and the amount of times you see the phone out in the air lifting for a tune, and like it's not bad. That is it. It's all right. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like that definitely. So have you got? I don't want to give too much away on the podcast, but have you got a direction you want to go with the brand? What you wanted to do with it? Like, what's the not the end goal, but what's the next step for you with this under 18s?
We want to scale it up and down the country.
Up and down, is that what you want to do? Yeah.
I mean, not such a country. We want to scale it across like the England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But it needs to be right for the brand, and
it needs to be able to work. And I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and
you can't just throw it anywhere, sort of.
Because it is a success story. Don't get me wrong. We've had stumbling blocks, as probably people know.
Yeah.
But everything that's been a stumbling block has been out of our control because we want the best. We want the safest environment. Do you know what I mean? When you come to our events, everybody's breathalyzed. Yeah. Everybody's breathalyzed. If you've got one smidge of alcohol in your system, you're not coming in. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So we want safety. We want everybody to come have a good time. As less trouble as we can have. Yeah. But yeah. Excellent. It's quite exciting, really, because like. We're getting like 1,500 people, like easily, 2,000 people easily. Can you imagine if you did them numbers for over 18s? You'd be absolutely buzzing. Yeah, whereas, it's insane, isn't it? Whereas when we're getting 1,500, we're like, I hope we get up to 2,000. Whereas if that was an over 18s event, you'd be like, oh my god, we've smashed it here. Yeah, exactly. It's a totally different generation, isn't it? Yeah. Is it alright if we move on to the questions? Is that sound? Yeah.
As I say, I don't read the questions out to the guests, so this is on the spot answers. If you've got any questions for the pod, at It's Time to Refresh on Instagram and send them over. I've noticed there's been a bit of an influx of questions, and some of them are absolutely ridiculous, and I love them. So thank you for that. I was getting a bit dry on the questions. I was going to put a post up, but I don't need to now, so they're already on it. We'll start off with this one. Hi Brad, I feel like I'm doing your editing with questions, but I have another. Who's the funniest artist you've come across in the scene or behind the scenes? And that's from Woggy. Woggy's our resident questionnaire.
I think the funniest person I've ever come across in the scene.
Yeah, like a genuinely funny guy. It's just
is Jonesy, Nemesis.
Right. Oh, I've never really crossed paths with him much. I think I played a couple of events with him, but never really.
He is a character.
There's or
Ross after a beer.
There's a lot of there's a lot of characters in our scene, but hilarious wise, do you know something? I had this question sent to me the other day. I haven't even had a chance to think about it. There's some pure characters in our scene. Don't get me wrong. Like there is some absolutely brilliant ones, but funny wise, I've got like quite a dry sense of humour. Do you know what I mean? And I see like. Some shouts who could I throw out there? I've had a chance to think about this as well. I think Rob Kane's funny.
I've never met Rob.
I think even his online presence as well, like some of his statuses are just absolutely mental. Like I genuinely think he's if there was a DJ who like a little DJ Bible, and it was like situations you get in, and I think he's always one that's always comes back with a hilarious story. I think he's a big one. Funny wise, one thing that I found was quite funny. I found Easy quite funny when I done Easy's podcast. I thought he's a pure character. Shout Easy. Easy's he's a funny guy. And like I went and done a podcast with Michael Glover. Yeah. I went round to see him do a podcast. He had a situation before, and he fell over and smashed his head on the floor. And he was in hospital, right?
I've seen the podcast.
And I had met up with Easy and that before, and it was just an absolute laugh. Like I think. Do you know when someone's just naturally funny? I think you can see it when he does his rhymes and that as well. He's got like a bit of sense of humour about him. Some people. Is there anyone who's like you'd be quite shocked at then that you've met and you've been thought they're proper characters them? For instance,
to be fair, like the new people that I've met, it'll take me a while to open up to them, because if I don't need to talk to you, I won't talk to you. It's not that I don't like you. It's not, if there's not a lot for me to say, then as I say, I won't say it. So
I find naturally funny as well. I find Bon Lee quite funny. I think Bon Lee's obviously
I met him
Ben.
after a few years. He seemed like a character, so shiv and all. They seem like they're a good couple. They bounce off each other, don't they?
Yeah, I think they're quite funny, like very likable people as well. I've got a lot of time for them. But me and Ben's going to a wrestling event in August at Wembley. And honestly, I can't wait for American Ben to come out. Like it'll be a good crack. Do you know what I mean? So next question is. Here, found your podcast clips on TikTok and been watching ever since. You're oddly funny without realising it. You said about everyone's favourite crisps, but what about everyone's favourite chocolate? Mine's Galaxy, and that's from Kirsty J. That was very hard to read, Kirsty. It made sense in my head when I read it off on the email the first time. But so what's your favourite chocolate?
Fucking hell, this is a fucking dilemma. I'm allergic to everything.
Right, fucking hell.
Everything, fucking hell, I cannot eat hardly anything. So, but obviously, I used to be able to eat chocolate and that, and probably my favourite chocolate bar is probably a crunchy.
Crunchy? Oh, that's a proper left field one, that. She said Galaxy. Galaxy's not a bad shout, but it gets sickly real quick.
Yeah, very heavy in it.
Yeah. I tell you what chocolate I don't like. I don't like American chocolate. I think it's really salty. Do you know what I mean? Like Hershey's or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very. I'm gonna be boring and I think like dairy milk chocolate is simple and great. Like any sort of dairy milk. I think is good.
For the caramel one.
Oh well, the caramel one, yeah, no, but I mean the chocolate itself,
Yeah.
that is tasty wise. If we had to get like a definitive answer, I'd go for that because I think that what's the ones, the posh ones.
Lint.
You get lint, yeah, lint. So like them lint balls, I got some at Christmas, and they're really sickly. Like after like one or two, you're like, fucking hell. Oh, here, good shout, Kinder. Kinder's a fucking a really good
Kinder is a
chocolate
good
as well.
chocolate.
Nice.
I mean, it's been a while since I've had a good chocolate. I know it don't look like I don't eat chocolate, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'll go order then. I'll say this, since though you can't really jump in on it. What's your favourite crisp?
Recently, it's been the Max Paprikas.
Nice.
Have you had them?
I was only crisps anymore, so unfortunately, I've got a bit of an addictive personality, so
I watched that. You had a box of fucking crisps.
Yeah. 28 packets of crisps in one sitting. That's genuinely. I had people messaging me about that afterwards. Like, no way is that true. It was like, honestly, I'd done it and didn't even feel it at all. Like sitting there playing on Call of Duty. Back in my gaming days, just there playing away, and honestly, I was just eating bag after bag after bag.
I bet that pad was greasy as a fuck.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, what I tend to do was, right. I've got like tactics and shit like they're weird as fuck on Xbox. So I'd only use one hand and I use them two fingers, and I'd be shooting with this hand and aiming with this.
Oh,
so
you've got it all prepped then, haven't you?
All prepped, definitely. I hate the feeling of like. I remember I used to play FIFA with my mates years ago. And see when it got really intense playing FIFA, like everyone's kicking off and pads are going everywhere and stuff like that. I always remember going on after one mate when we used to play, and he used to have dead sweaty hands, really, really wet controller. Afterwards, I'm like, oh, like I'm dead like thing with stuff like that. I've got consciously bad, smelly feet, and I hate it. So it's just one of them things, innit?
That's it.
Yeah. Sorry for that, but we'll just go off on another tangent there.
That's it.
Next up, we've got Flop or Bop. Obviously, you know what the Flop or Bop is.
Yep.
If you've got any Flop or Bops you want to suggest, just hit me up on Instagram and we'll go from there. So this week's Flop or Bop with Lee T. Let's do this, mate. Flop or Bop, Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17.
Bop.
Bop. Do you think so? A good tune, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone sent that in.
I like that Wookie. Wookie's just done one, hasn't he? Is it Wookie or Wookie?
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's a dance mix of it.
Yeah. I know that. I was going to say that Groove Control did a mix of it.
Yeah, only off the back of that Wookie. She said, "Oh, we should do that," but it's off the back of that Wookie.
Oh, is it right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck it, honestly, and I loved the Miley Cyrus one as well. I thought that was fucking quality. I think she's class tune. It's a bop from me as well. K-Class, Rhythm is a Mystery. Flop or Bop.
I want to know what that is.
It's the piano house tune from like early 90s. Rhythm is a mystery. Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna say.
I told you that out there. I said, I better know all these tunes. You're like, don't worry, you're gonna know them all.
I thought you'd know that.
Look, I know bed now, don't I?
No, it's alright, mate. It's alright. Honestly, it's a good tune.
I probably will know it off.
If I'll play it after this, and you'll be like, oh yeah, so and so's gonna mix of that.
Yeah.
So next one is Awesome Free. Don't Go.
Yeah, bop.
Big bop. Could be one of the best piano tunes ever as well. I'd say. I'd go as far as saying that. Next one is Stonebank, Ripped to Pieces.
Anything Stonebank bop.
Yeah, I think is the boy, isn't he?
I say this a lot about Stonebank. I've just lost the name in my head now as you say that. What was that dubstep style he did? What was the name he come up with? He did Modulate and then he did Rocket Pimp.
Oh yeah, Rocket Pimp. Yeah,
the Rocket Pimp stuff.
I wasn't a fan of that stuff.
Oh, I loved it, but I was majorly into that Skrillex sound, so that was just like.
It seems to have really blown up in America, that as well. Have you seen last year's EDC festival?
Yeah.
And you see them drops come in because obviously I'm so primed with our British style of music. You can either build, because the build up sound exactly the same. They've got the big snares building up and the rises, and then as you're thinking it's going to kick in at like 150 or 170, it's like it comes in with like the dub trap style drop, and you're just like, oh, this is. And then you can see the crowd reactions are completely different. Whereas you see festivals here, and then say like Darren Stars or something like that, and it kicks in, and everyone's like boom, 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 and it's going. And on dubstep, they're like, it's like they're listening to drum and bass, and it kicks in. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, but the bass lines and the variation makes up the speed, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's not just like.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I love the Skrillex sound. I'm not really into that new sort of dancey EDM shite he's doing. I prefer
Yeah,
that.
either all those stuff that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Bangarang and like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
That was all right, but I mean that heavily dubstep. I was
Yeah.
like,
That was his big commercial tune at the time.
Yeah.
That went big with
what was
the
it,
dubstep.
bro step or something like that? They call it. Like,
Fuck those. I'm not down with the kids, mate.
yeah,
Sorry.
I love all that that heavy Skrillex stuff. Because if you think about it, Skrillex has led the way in dance music for a long time.
Oh, his production techniques, absolutely, yeah. So when you're saying you like Stonebank, what's your favourite Stonebank tune? Go
It
for
wouldn't be a Stonebank tune; it'd be a Rocky Pimp tune.
And what is it then?
It was Marie Louise, and it was I can't think of the fucking name now. Or Breeze and Modulate. You Got It All.
Nice tune. Nice
That
tune.
is a fucking amazing tune.
Yeah.
But again, that's sort of like that Skrillex sound, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like what do you call it? Like dubcore, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it was.
That's that Breeze and Modulate. You Got It All. That's probably my
Class
favourite
tune,
one he's
class
done.
tune. And the last one for today, you know it's going to be this one because I told you outside when you mentioned it, is Danny I Can't Sleep at Night, the KB Project remix.
Bop, absolute bop. I love that tune.
Such a good tune. I hold so many memories to that tune. It's a weird one because like, I think if it came out today, I wouldn't be as attached to it.
No, because it's quite simple when you look at it. But
Yeah,
what a tune it was.
yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I don't know how she couldn't have put it on the release or the general release. I think it deserved it.
I think, probably in the majority when I say this, I don't think Danny Minogue's that great of a singer, and honestly think it's probably the only decent vocal she's ever done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In my opinion.
But I think Ben and Kenny absolutely smashed that mix.
Yeah, I can see why it didn't get on a general release though, because it's like, imagine if you're an Aussie, right? You're releasing pop records, and you hear that fucking banging, or is like I think it's about 146 something like maybe even higher. So 146 BPM, boom, 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 and like you just wouldn't understand it as an outsider because we're so used to what that sound is. Imagine because it's not commercial as such, is it? It doesn't sound like a commercial dance tune. No. It's banging, and it was a tune made for Pia. You can tell straight off the bat, like the way it kicks in and everything. Just you can tell, and I think that's probably why, because she probably just didn't understand it, or her agent, whoever's commissioned the remix, didn't understand.
You'd have give it the time of day though, wouldn't you? You'd have listened to it in a couple of
fucking banging.
If you was like that level, I mean, and someone would come to you with some remixes, you'd give it at least a car test, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I thought honestly it's such a good tune.
It would have sounded amazing in a car test. You know what I mean?
It is. There's just so many good bits about it as well. I like the breakdown.
Yeah.
Pads sound amazing. Build up, kick back. Like her vocals.
Even the intro sounds good, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
You know it is. It's a great tune. So I would say it's one of my favourite KB tunes. I'd say.
I actually said that out there. It is my favourite KB tune.
I either say that or XTM. Is it?
Yeah.
Believe in Love.
Believe in Love.
Yeah.
Not Believe in Love.
Give Me Your Love.
Yeah.
Give Me Your Love. I think that honestly, like, probably them two are my favourite KB tunes.
I think my favourite Kenny tune is probably simple, but Kings of Donk, More Dope Rhymes.
What's that? Sorry, say that again.
Kings of Donk, More Dope Rhymes.
That tune rings a bell, but I don't know where from. I can't picture what it is in my head at the minute.
Well, I got you back there for the tune I didn't know.
How old is it?
Like 2004, 2005. Kings of Donk, More Dope Rhymes. Kings of Donk, More Dope Rhymes.
It does ring a bell, that's all. I just don't know where I've heard it. But yeah, and honestly, and my least favourite ones, I said this to Kenny when I podcasted with him as well, I'm not a massive fan of, as big, and I respect how big the tune is, like See the Light and stuff like that. I think I Can't Sleep at Night is better than it, and I think the progressions are better, the vocals better, the way it kicks in is just a great
I don't
tune.
like See the Light.
Yeah.
I think
It's just hammered, isn't it? That's all it is.
I think it's probably why I don't like it. I'm not saying it's not a good tune, because obviously it is a good tune, but I think
I think there is better out there as well, like that he's done. We'll do this throwback attack, mate, if that's okay.
Yep.
So obviously you've been watching the pod, you'll know what this is. For those who don't know, throwback attack is basically I want to give you situations and you're going to tell me the first tune that pops into your head. No sitting thinking about it, you just bang, bang, right out, okay? Is that fair?
Yep.
Because if you think about it, you'll overthink it and then it's not fun. So throwback attack with Lee T, here we go. What song do you think of when you think of back to primary school?
Sunshine.
By
Dario G.
Alright, okay, big tune. You should remix that, you know.
We have done.
Have you?
Yeah, we put it out as a different name though.
Oh, I can't say I've heard it.
Well, I think we put it out as Club Freaks.
Right, okay.
That's why
Well,
you
there
probably
you
not
go.
heard of it, because you're not giving it time of day, Club Freaks.
Listen, I listen to everything, mate. I'll tell you now.
We'll show you in a minute. It's actually, it was alright. It was very happy, but yeah, Dario G, Sunshine.
Yeah, class tune. It's just different in it. Did you put the chants in it as well?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Have you seen where the chants come from?
Yeah. For some reason, I
That
remember
living in an over town.
Well, the thing is, I watched this YouTube video. It must have been years ago now, like easily 8-9 years ago, and it was like breaking down famous tunes and the origins and where they've sampled and stuff. It was really interesting, and when I heard it, I was like, doesn't in my head, it's not what I thought it was. Do you know where I'm coming from? It sounds completely obscure. It's like with samples from other tunes and stuff. Like I watched one with Fatboy Slim, and it was like, where he's pulled this record from, like I would never have creatively thought of that, or do you know what I mean? It's fantastic. So next one, what song do you think of when you think of secondary school?
Probably like Children of the Night.
Right, okay. Decent tune that. Class tune, in fact. It was someone played it at a bounce night. I think it was Shiv and Ben played it. I walked into Sanctuary and I was like, happy hardcore, what's going on here? And boom, because
we loved, like me and a few of my mates, we loved the under 18s, and that was like the biggest tune of the under 18s. We loved that when that came on.
What song do you think of when you think of your first set of decks?
Voodoo and Serrano, Overlord.
Class tune, class, absolutely class. You don't even need to go into that, just class, sheer class. I love that. I still play it now, and it's amazing. What do you think of when you think of your first days of going out? So over 18s, you're going to nightclubs. What are you listening to?
Probably like Ozone Bounce, because Ozone, when I started getting to see the ins and outs of over 18s, Ozone Bounce was massive.
It's never been a tune that I massively love, but I can understand why people love it.
I don't like the main kicking. I just loved the intro and outro. I thought that was fucking unreal.
Yeah, it's unbelievably massive tune, and it's one of them where it's like, if someone sent that to me as a demo, like, it's all right, but for what it is, it's done major numbers. Do you know what I mean? It's weird,
massive.
Yeah,
I think Finchy took it on
another level,
you know
obviously.
I mean?
Yeah. What song do you think of when you think of your golden era? So your favourite era of music, it can be any genre at all. What is it?
My genre of music, I don't know. I think DJing wise, I think Fantasy Girl.
Fantasy Girl, is that what sticks out in your head?
Yeah,
right, excellent.
Because I felt so proud when I got that van. I was like, you know, I can be accepted now.
Go back down to room 2, lads, you know, and play, and everyone will be happy.
No, without the under 18s, I'm like, you need Fantasy Girl. I'm like, what the fuck is Fantasy Girl, Chris?
What song do you think of when you think right here, right now?
Probably one of my own. Probably Reflect, Need to Feel Love.
Right, okay. I don't think I've heard that one either. You have to have a listen. I'll go through your SoundCloud later and have a listen.
Or Strobe, I remixed Strobe, and I really enjoy that. I even listen.
I think I've heard that, you know.
I've tried remixing Strobe probably 10 times, never got it right, and then one day I just thought, I'll have another go at Strobe, and fucking it just fell together.
The amount of times that I do that though, like I'll think, oh, this needs it. I've never heard a mix of this before, and I'll go to it, and I'll get halfway through, and I'll be like, not really feeling this, and then like you come back 3 or 4 times later, and you're like, do you know what? This is gonna work. This, and you finish it off, and it's like ends up being some of your best pieces of work as well, because it's like you've got your initial idea of when you wanted to do it, the shit in between, and then when when it really clicks with you that it's gonna work, and you go and revisit it, it's like all that time into one. You seem to appreciate the record more,
of course.
you know what I mean? So yeah, before we sign off today, mate, I just want to ask you, like I asked everyone, you get the electric chair, right? You've got a starter, main, dessert. What are you having?
Well, if I'm about to die, I might as well go all out, so it's not going to affect my fucking allergies, is it?
Yeah, go for it.
Probably starter, I don't know, probably fucking, I won't say the same as like energy tracks.
Go on.
I don't know, starter, probably chicken pakoras. Main, probably a Five Guys.
What are you getting from Five Guys?
Oh, probably one of them double burger fucking...
Right, okay. Big pile of chips I put in the bag as well.
Oh yeah, 3 times. Dessert, probably...
Do you have everything on your burger as well? Do you have all the works?
No, I'm quite plain, but and then probably like banana fritters or something.
Banana fritters, yeah, loads of honey on it.
Oh, fucking hell. Golden syrup.
What are you washing that down with then?
Coke.
Right, full fat?
Full fat.
I'm not a fan of the full fat.
Oh, I get addicted to it, me.
It's really, really like... The first, for me, this is why I don't like Coke and Coke. I think Coke Zero is better. Coke, right, do you not think when you have that, when it's ice cold, crack it open, it's sizzling, you get it and it's like, oh, that's lovely, that, right? But it goes really flat really quickly, I find. Like, if you leave it a couple of minutes and then drink it, it's like, you don't get the same buzz as you did off that first drink. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know, I do enjoy a Coke, but...
Excellent. Right, you've been a fantastic guest, mate, and you've got told about the story. And I knew as soon as I talked to you, I talked on the phone and that beforehand, and I was like, we could see where we can go with this. And then when I met you today, I thought this is going to be a good podcast. This definitely. So just to say thanks for coming on, mate. It's been
cheers for having me.
A pleasure. Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook and that SoundCloud.
What's your link? Could you know it?
SoundCloud is Lee T Music.
Yeah.
Facebook Lee T Armada. Instagram Lee T Music.
Excellent, get on it. And if you know people who are under 18 and you want to get them into raves and stuff like that, jump on these events. I think it's a good window into seeing what nightlife is like for the younger generation.
Yeah, and genuinely we have your child's best interest at heart. You know, we make sure everything's safe and all that. We don't just want your money. We everything's a safe environment control. We have stewards, chaperones, everything. We go above and beyond for the safety of your child.
Excellent. Just want to say thank you for tuning in. As usual, we're here every week. General releases on Monday. Patreon, get it on Friday, early access. You can sign up Patreon now at patreon.com/itstimetoriffresh. Share this with your mates because this is how we get bigger. I say this every single week and it sounds like a broken record, but I'm just going to say it again. When you share it and one new person hears it, it could be one new person that falls in love with this podcast and falls in love with the bounce scene and the bounce music and the rave community in general, because we talk about hardcore, we talk about old piano house, Italian, bounce, hard house, hardcore. You got the spectrum's so wide in what we do. If you can create a new raver who's going to go to these events, then that's my job done. Just want to say thank you for tuning in. I'll see you again.